Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It is a Sunday afternoon here in Melbourne, Victoria, and a day back from track day. In other words, we had a good day down at Serccc where we had more people come down that we didn't know. Well, actually, I had a few that not regulars come down. We had a play day today, which is basically test and tune. We didn't have enough numbers, unfortunately. It's just the way it is with school holidays and people away still. That we had a low turnout to actually run heats and finals for races. So we had a big day of people just swapping ideas, testing this, testing that, seeing what happens when you do changing the car to another change and all that type of stuff. And myself included with the T3M 21 with the conversions. Okay, now to report back to you guys on the what I found out today. As a test today, I take it upon myself not to run brand new tyres and always run old tyres, meetings old. In other words, 2, 3, 4 meetings older or more, and just clean them and basically put them on the car. Clean, goop, heat, clean, goop, heat. No sanding, no nothing. Sort of defeats the purpose of trying to find what the chassis can do on a set of tyres that have actually gone past their, they call it the use by date on racing. And that's how I like to do a test and tune day. The track was cleaned down with a sweeper, then blowers, then sugar watered as we normally do, just to keep dust down, because we have big trees at the back of it, which we have to clean the track. Otherwise you pick up so much crap. So the day was used, basically run using old tyres, and now they've had about maybe 8 or 9 6-minute runs on them, and kept them at that all day to try and find the best balance on grip to wear, both front and back on the car, to see what it'll actually do and how the tyres come off every run. The less, if the car comes off the track with lots of grip but very little in the way of collected crap, I'm happy. And this is the body that I used for the day, which is a R.A.B, and that's the last run of the day, and that's how much stuff came off the tyres. Not much at all. This is because I didn't put any stoppers on the actual suspension to stop it actually hitting the body. Also, the body was running a bit too low on the front by 1 hole, so I've got to adjust that to take it off, so I won't do that again. But this is a R.A.B with the Ryan Maker body mount on the back, just to see what I can get out of the car in relation to handling. But as you can see, tyres came off every run like that, and that was not actually blown down at the end of each run to clean it. That's how it is for the whole day. That's now 4 runs, 4 battery packs. All I did was blow the car down to get the dust off it. So it gives you an indication that the car is not destroying the tyres, which is where I want to be. So old tyres will grain up very, very fast. These didn't grain up, and they came out. They weren't TPs. They were another brand of tyre, because I forgot to bring my TPs down to try them. But that is the extent of the swirl or the crap off the tyres at the end of the day, and that wasn't blown down. And the R.A.B worked quite well. It's not the best body, but it did work for me. I sort of gauged myself against better drivers and how far behind I am, and considering their shit has been better than me, 1/2 to 1 second max per lap slower, and getting better is a good place to be on shitty tyres, and the better drivers were sanding their tyres each run. So that's an indication. Now, going to the car. I did run the new shock mounts, and last video was me putting up the O-rings underneath things. I can't use them because they're way too soft. They were shock O-rings instead of the dark black and the black neoprene ones, which is what Larry uses. They're shitloads better. Don't use the shock ones. I tried the car on the track for a couple of laps with the O-rings out of the shockers. No, so sketchy, unpredictable. Stopped the car, took them off, just bolted it all up, just with the standard spacers as close as possible to kit standard out of the bag, and that's it. That's all I did. The shocks are standard out of the packet when you buy them as the pairs, with 450 weight oil. 450 weight oil and gold shocks. I got a preference to these. These gold shocks is all I ran all day, day in, day out on the rear and on the front. I don't run progressives. I don't like the feel of it. Other people prefer them. Good luck to them. I can't get my head around it. The car's stable, easy, predictable, and you can push it without any great consequences happening. I like that, consequences. So that's the car. Now for this day, because I actually broke the top deck, I ran a split. Now the split has a completely different feel to the car. It makes it, how I feel the car makes it a little bit twitchy and a little bit more direct to every command you give it. If it was a one piece, it mellows the car out a lot more. So it's a lot easier to drive it a bit harder, which would have been good today for a good test on shitty tyres. But this worked, so I didn't change it, and I did break the other one, so I think I've only got a 2mm one instead of 1.6. Now, with the decks on the rear, it is only the split deck. It is only, oh, these are also the 2mm ones, by the way, 2mm decks. Only the rear screws, not the front, and only the pivot screw at the front here. Okay, on the front one though, because I'm testing this out, the front end coming, which is to suit the X-ray, but it fits on this quite nicely. I have to run basically 2 screws plus those 2 screws there, which is to get it all set up. One moment, hang on. Sorry, just got to go. The wife's called me, 1 sec. Oh, that's a little embarrassing. She didn't know I was actually making a video. Doesn't matter. Problem solved. That's good. So yeah, at the front, because of the pickup for the stiffener, it's definitely 4 screws at the front and one of the pivot screw at the back, and that's it. I didn't try putting another one at the front because I know what happened last time I did that. The car became really erratic. Don't know why that effect happened there. Shocks, as I said, front and rear are identical. There's no change in linear shocks and shit like that. On the bottom of the front, though, I do run a 2mm spacer to bring the shocks out so they're like that. If you look at the side of the car, they're actually canted forward a little bit. So if you look at that, you see that they are canted slightly forward. I find it actually makes the car work really good. Now, I can't explain this. Mr. Hagberg gave a good explanation why, but I'm lazy. I haven't read up to it. I just put it together and ran the car, and it felt really, really good. Other things on the car, I run the steering on the chassis out of the R3 Pro. I find it better for me. The pendulum one works just identical. I can't find the difference, but this is just me being lazy. I left it there. Steering. Biggest problem I had with steering on this and also the pendulum version, whatever horn you use, you have to bring that pickup point far out as possible so it is parallel with your tie rods. You can't have it in an angle going in and out because it becomes inconsistent steering arc throw. So you've got to make sure that runs parallel. So all of these mechanical items here have to run parallel to each other on the chassis to make sure that it works, unless you're using a lot of Ackerman here on the inside and using a lot of Ackerman, then otherwise parallel is absolute essential. Can't stress it enough. There'll be someone having their own opinion, but hey, opinions are great. That's not a problem. I prefer to run them all parallel, so it's all equal. This all done and shimmed up spot on with the 4x6 shims in 0.2. So 4x6 by 0.2. It means I needed to actually make sure that spins freely without the actual alloy carriers hitting the outside of the carriers there on the inside. And Mr. Andrew Bird, as he said in the post, the Schumacher ones work spot on, which is good. Okay, what else? Pit lane battery holders, I run those. I make those because I prefer how they lock it in a little bit better and less tedious than running the genuine ones. Nothing special in the rear. That's just as it is, as the option kit. Left that as it is. Belt, left them a little bit loose. I should tighten them up a little bit more because that's really, really loose, as you can see. Shouldn't actually tighten that up, but I'll do that next time. Spacers on the rear on the top link are all 2 and 2 under that. Okay. Spacers on the front, because I've got to run this as flat as possible. I've got 1/2 mil at the front here, none here, and what have we got? 4, 3, 5. So I've got 5mm on the on these pivots here, on these ones under here. So it actually runs as flat and as level as possible all the way through. I run long links as long as possible on the front and as long as possible on the rear, because it stops that aggressive camber change on the wheels, both front and rear, so you don't get that death ring, and it scrubs the tires nice and flat and even. And the feeling that it gives me when I drive the car is very, very predictable chassis. I can throw it and I know what it's going to do. It's not going to want to bite very aggressively in one direction or another. On the front of these things, long screws. See those little suckers right there? Long screws. What that does, then the body doesn't touch the wheel. Simple as that. And also, if the body comes down, what happens is that it doesn't have that tendency to fold itself in the middle and become really, really soft. That's worked really good. I'm going to keep those in there. I might put another set that's a little bit longer than that by about maybe 4mm, so it gives it a bit more rise, and so I can adjust it if it's a low body or a high body, but that works really, really good. What else? Oh yeah, bottom of the chassis. Here we go. Okay, what you can see here is one screw on the motor mount right at the front and one screw right at the rear. Now, the only other change I do onto this, if I were to run the car again, is take the front and just drop it into this hole here, not these two. Okay, so give it maybe a little bit more grip on the front. Grip was fine today, really, really good. On the radio, if you go lock to lock on this, which has little stoppers, the car was at 45% dual rates, so it was nowhere near full lock, which was good, and it still had plenty of steering. That means that the wheels aren't going in very aggressively and scrubbing. They're actually finding the rotation really nicely. That's why they came out of the car without all the crap in the body. Okay, rear. This is the best setup I found for me. I'm going to try a few other variations, but if you look at that, 2 screws, one bottom motor mount, miss motor mount. That's it. No other ones. Okay. This is your T-bar, your brass T-bar, and right at the top there is a grub screw. So it's actually floating on only the one screw with a 1/2 mil spacer between the T-bar and the chassis. So the T-bar is not touching the chassis. It's 1/2 mil up above the chassis, and the grub screw just stops it from moving left to right. That's it. So that literally has no effect. It's just got a weight in the rear, but no effect. What else? As I say to everyone, I run my pit lane 3-degree toe rear arms, fixed toe, so there's no adjustment, just drop them in there 3 degrees. I do not run a sway bar. Can't tell you why, but I do not run a sway bar. I find the car really settled without the sway bar. As long as you do your tweak and your ride height and your droop spot on, sway bar I find is null and void. It works really, really good without it. On the front though, tried without a sway bar, no. On the front, definitely run a sway bar, which is a 1.6. So 1.6 on the front, none on the rear. That's the car, and as I said, felt really, really good today. Very, very good. Had Brian drive the car as well, and one battery pack each, and he was pretty much on par. I was pretty much on par to his pace as well. Couldn't say one was better to the other or otherwise. Motor, 12.3 rotor in the V3. I haven't got any V4s. I sold them all. 1.5 dozen the other. But 12.3 raw rotor in the motor, and set at 40 degrees. FDR for our track is 44 pinion and 98 spur. Work it out. And on the settings on the ESC, if you call it punch A, punch B, which is throttle limiter and trigger IP and throttle IP, they were 1 and 2. and the car was still stonking fast, 1 and 2. Drive frequency was 8,000. Brakes are just brakes to your liking. Don't take my brake settings because some people hate them. I like them. That's it. That's the car. Droop was, ride height was 5.2 on the front, 5.4 on the rear, and on the front it was 2 millimeters over ride height, and on the rear it was 1 millimeter over ride height. So you can work out what that means. So 1 millimeter ride height rise on the rear and 2 millimeter rise on the front. I like a car that's a bit lazy coming out of the corners. It just suits my driving. Other than that, the car was damn good. Can't complain. 9-run old tyres by the end of the day. No trimming on the tyres, just literally a clean goop heat. Put them on the car. Standard 6,000 packs, no issue. Car was brilliant. As soon as our lovely chap Marcel comes out with the setup sheet for these, with all variations, whether it be carbon tower or alloy tower, what I'll do is put that all down on paper and write everything down. But I can't stress enough that the car was really good to drive. And if I'm half to 1 second behind one of the better drivers that are around there, it's saying much to the car's ability on tyres that are worn out, not new tyres at all. Because if I can get this going on old tyres, just as I said, clean goop heat, I can predict how well it's going to be even better on brand new tyres. Okay guys, I hope you sort of sucked all that in, made sense of it. Take it away, play with it, see what you want to do. Try the changes by all means. Try what I've done, don't try what I've done, it's up to you. I find it really good. And the only other quick thing that I forgot to tell you is that the balls for the shocks are the no thread balls, which the part number is, pardon me as I look at it again because I'm lazy, M for Mary, 925800. That's what I've used instead of the threaded ball in the stud. The reason behind that is simplicity. To take that apart, all I do is take the screw out and the whole thing comes out. Now the screw is about 20 mil. I can change that to an 18 or a 16 at any point if I take away spaces. Oops. If I take away spaces, I can put a shorter screw instead of having to work out on a stud, because if you bottom out in the stud, you can't tighten the actual ball that sits in there. So these are actually working a little bit better than I thought they would, front and rear. Okay, that's it. Have a good night. Say hi to the wife, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. And keep an eye out for the PDF. That'll come through as soon as we get the finished product out of Marcel. And please, if you know Marcel in the group, please make an effort to like his page. He's done a magnificent job so far. I've seen the drafts for the setup sheets, and they're brilliant. And yeah, I've got to find something to thank him with, because man, that's a lot of work. Didn't think it was going to be that much work for one person to put together, but they will be brilliant. All right guys, have a good night, take care. It is Sunday night. I'm going to go inside, cook up some dinner, lie on the couch and do like a homer, and that's it. Out for the night until tomorrow morning. Take care guys, see you later.